So the next important compound is sulfur. Sulfur exists in two allotropic form, namely rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. Monoclinic sulfur. Rhombic sulfur and monoclinic sulfur. Rhombic sulfur is very stable at the normal condition and it is a more stable form. And this gets converted to monoclinic sulfur on heating at around 350 or 360 Kelvin. When it is heated, this becomes monoclinic sulfur. Okay. So, rhombic sulfur, monoclinic sulfur, of this I have told you, rhombic sulfur is the most stable form. Both in rhombic sulfur as well as in monoclinic sulfur, sulfur is available as S8, where S8 sulfur atoms are attached to each other. S8. Like in phosphorus it is P4, it is for sulfur it is S8. And of course, sulfur also is one of the important compounds for which is very much required for making sulfuric acid and other compounds. And though S8 is a major form in which it is existing, it also, or in the last 1 or 2 decades, we chemists have identified as much as S6 to S20 sulfur forms containing minimum of 6 sulfur to maximum of 20. But the predominant is S8 and S6. If you see the structure of S8, it looks like a chair form. And in S6, in S6 it exists as a chair form, and in S6, S8, I will tell you. This exists as a chair form in S6. Which is having 6 sulfur atoms, sulfur atoms, and in S8 it will be like 2, 3, 4. Will be available in this form. So S6 to S8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and it will also should be like this here. Two, three, four, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. So S6 and S8 forms, these are the structures. This is a chair-like form, then it is a boat-like shape. And sulfur, we will also be seeing some of the important compounds of sulfur like sulfur dioxide, sulfuric acid, etc. in this. Some of the important compound of sulfur is sulfur dioxide. Sulfur dioxide is prepared by the action of sulfur in air to get this sulfur dioxide. In the commercially or industrially, it is obtained as a byproduct in heating any sulfide ores. Obtained as a byproduct of heating sulfide ores. And sulfur dioxide exists in two forms, as similar to that of ozone, that is available in two resonance forms. It is available in two resonance forms. It's available in two resonance forms. And sulfur dioxide is important in the preparation of in the preparation of sulfuric acid. But sulfur dioxide on treatment with water becomes sulfurous acid. Becomes sulfurous acid. H2SO3. It also when treated with when it is moist, it behaves as a reducing agent. Reducing Fe3 plus Fe3 plus is reduced to Fe2 plus by moist sulfur dioxide. So this is as a reducing agent. This is important in reduction in many of the reduction reactions. Fe3 plus is converted to Fe2 plus. And the sulfur dioxide also reacts with chlorine to form sulfuryl chloride. So as I told you, sulfur dioxide exists in two forms. It's also since it is obtained as a byproduct here, using the sulfur dioxide, we are also able to get sulfuric acid, which is the main acid used industrially for a lot of applications. Among the oxo acids of sulfur, the most important oxo acid is sulfuric acid. Sulfuric acid is prepared commercially by contact process, which involve different important steps. We have already seen main step is the production of sulfur dioxide, either by burning sulfur with oxygen or by heating any sulfide ores. When they are heated with oxygen, we get sulfur dioxide. This we have seen in the last reactions for SO2. So once sulfur dioxide prepared like that, this sulfur dioxide is further treated with oxygen in the presence of V2O5 as a catalyst to get sulfur trioxide. This sulfur trioxide is then made to react with water to get oleum. H2S2O7, this is called oleum. H2S2O7, and oleum is a very powerful oxo acid of sulfur. So from oleum, the required concentration of sulfuric acid is prepared by adding this oleum slowly into water, or oleum and a small amount of this thing and the constant stirring leads to the sulfuric acid on treatment. This again, it is treated with this thing, it becomes H2SO4 of the required concentration can be obtained. So this entire process is known as contact process. Chemically, H2SO4 forms, H2SO4 reacts with various substances to form either a sulfate salt or a bisulfate salt. forms a sulfate or a bisulfate salt. And of course, it's a very powerful agent in the sense if to remove water. It's a powerful dehydrating agent, especially if you take any organic compounds like sugar, when it is treated with the sulfuric acid, is charged to carbon and water. Or it can become even CO2 and H2O. So water molecules, wherever they are removed with the sulfuric acid. It's a powerful dehydrating agent. So concentrated sulfuric acid can be made to dilute sulfuric acid, and this process also is a very vigorous process involving lot of energy. So again, it has to be very clearly, very slowly in a container of water, and the H2SO4 should be added in drops with continuous stirring to make concentrated H2SO4 to dilute H2SO4. Okay, and this sulfur H2SO4 I told you is a very important chemical industrially. So any country which is the advancement or the industrial advancement of any country depends on the quantity of sulfuric acid used by it. Okay, the more the sulfuric acid usage, more industrially advanced is the country. And of course, this process of making the sulfuric acid is a very complicated process also. And then if you take uses of sulfuric acid, it has a lot of use. One is as a laboratory agent. It is used in the manufacture of paints, lacquers, and other things. It is used in the manufacturers of fertilizers like ammonium sulfate, superphosphate, and any of the sulfate fertilizers can be prepared only using H2SO4. And it is used in the preparation of any of the sulfate salts, and like copper sulfate or other products which have lot of commercial application. So the H2SO4, as I have told you, is a very important chemical in the industrial, in measuring the industrial development of any country. Now let us go to group 17 elements. Group 17 elements are generally halogens, known as halogens. Whereas, in group 16 elements are known as chalcogens or chalcogens. Group 16 is chalcogens. These halogens are, very well, chlorine, bromine, iodine. Of course, it starts with the fluorine. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, aspartame, and tennessine. Aspartame, and tennessine. Of this, tennessine is a synthetic element which is highly radioactive and which has a very small half-life, and it is very difficult to study that element. Fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. It starts with the fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine. And the most beautiful thing about the halogens is the elements fluorine, chlorine, bromine, iodine, they almost are similar to each other in properties. Such a similarity never exists in any other group. Their chemical or their physical properties, or the gradation in physical properties, or their behavior in chemical with the other chemical substances or in chemical reactions, almost have a good similarity among the various groups of the elements in the periodic table. Of course, as usual, if you take the electronic configuration, it is NS2 NP5. So it is one electron short of the inner gas configuration. That is, the outermost shell is having 7, and it is one short of net gas configuration of NS2 NP6. So as usual, the atomic size as well as the ionic size increases with the ionic or atomic size increases. decreases down the group. It increases down the group, atomic ionic size, as usual ionization enthalpy. It is very difficult to remove an electron from any of these halogens because they have 7 electrons in the outermost shell. Given a chance, they may try to accept 1 electron than giving out electron. So ionization enthalpy in general is very high. It is almost not possible to remove an electron, but is very high. As usual, it again decreases down the group due to the presence of more shells and the effective nuclear charge, increase in effective nuclear charge. So ionization enthalpy. And as you know, their electron affinity, all these have a very strong electron affinity because from 7 it becomes 8 very easily. The electron affinity is more for things like fluorine and decreases down the group. And the electron gain enthalpy is also high for all the halogen groups, and of course it also electron gain enthalpy decreases down the group. So this apart from these properties, in general, the oxidation state of all the halogens is invariably -1 in most of the cases. But for certain elements like chlorine, bromine, or iodine, it can occur the plus oxidation state. And this chlorine, bromine, iodine occurs the plus oxidation state only if they combine with more electronegative elements than them, like fluorine or iodine. Okay. So how these oxidation states are possible? If you see electronically, the configuration of this thing is NS2 NP5. This is the ground state. When it is excited to the first level, first unpairing may happen. And it goes to the ND shell. The unpairing of this electron goes and this goes to the ND orbital. So this accounts for the +3 oxidation state. And if it is further excited, this is also getting unpaired, so that the total 5 electrons are here. So from 3 it becomes 5 unpaired electrons. Okay, from 3 it becomes 5 unpaired electrons. So this accounts for the +5 oxidation state. So if it is further excited, all the unpairing of the s electrons also happen, and so you will have total 7, 4 plus 3, 7. So the ND orbitals, the vacant ND orbitals are utilized for taking the excited electron to the next level, so that the +3, +5 or +7 oxidation state is possible. But this is happening only when chlorine, bromine, iodine themselves are electronegative elements. So they may have only a tendency to accept electron, but when they all react with more electronegative element than them, like chlorine or oxygen, they occur this plus oxidation states.